Hey, this is Jamey from Stillmeyer Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite non-spoiler game mechanism in the game Inscryption. Here's a not great screenshot photo from the hour or so that I spent with Inscryption. And I'm specifically saying an hour that I spent with Inscryption because Inscryption has a lot of stuff going on under the surface that I've researched. I've spoiled it for myself, and you're welcome to do that if you want to learn about the game. But I'm going to talk about kind of the superficial, not superficial, the start of the game. There's some stuff that you do at the start of the game that I think is really cool. So it's essentially a deck building roguelike game, kind of like Slay the Spire, but with a lot of other stuff going on here that's really, really cool. The core idea is that you have these cards in hand, and on your turn you're going to play as many cards as you want, really, into these 4 slots. You can see these 4 slots. And at the end of your turn, any animals that are there automatically attack anything that's directly in front of them, or if there's nothing directly in front of them, they will attack your opponent, which you can see with glowing eyes over here on the other side of the room. It is a little bit of a spooky game that you're playing in Inscryption. And if you manage to hit that opponent, then you deal a few damage to them on this scale. And this is my favorite mechanism. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in this game, so I'm going to rave about it for a minute. If you enjoy deck building games, I highly recommend Inscryption. Highly recommend it. But this tug of war thing in particular, I think, is really, really neat. I don't think I've seen this in a game before, although it might show up in a game called Crystal Clans that I haven't played. But the idea is, so in most like deck building dueling games, or dueling games in general, you are simply trying to reduce your opponent's life to 0, and their life is disconnected from your life. Totally fine. Played many games like that. I've enjoyed them. However, the twist in Inscryption is this scale means that you are going back and forth with your opponent. I believe you're trying to hit them 6 times. That seems about right, 5 or 6 times. So say I hit, in my first turn of the game, I hit the opponent twice. The scale tips down a little bit, 2 damage to them. If I hit them 4 more times, I win the game. However, they get a turn right back at me, and say they hit me 3 times. The scale is then going to tip back to my side so that they are no longer taking 2 damage. Rather, I'm the one who has a damage on the scale. There might be future interactions in the game that I don't know that go deeper than that, but that's the basic idea there. We're tipping back and forth in terms of this life. So if on the right turn, as is classic tug-of-war style, if you can push just far ahead, it doesn't even matter how much damage they would be able to deal to you on their next turn, because you've dealt just enough to tip that scale far enough and deal it to them. And also, it feels like you're constantly going back and forth. Like everything that you do on your turn matters, because even if you can't do all that much damage, you might be doing just enough to save yourself on their turn. So I thought that was really, really cool. Also, thematically, everything in the game has to deal with a sacrifice. So when you play, the cost to play many of these cards is kind of the blood that you earn from sacrificing cards that are already in play. So if I have a card here, if that card dies, or if I sacrifice it so that I can play this wolf, this card dies, it goes away, and the wolf enters play. There's also these bones. So every time a creature dies, they add a little bone to your pile, and some cards have bones as a cost, so you can spend those bones to play creatures. It's dark, it's creepy, but I thought this idea of sacrifice worked really well for the game as a cost for the game itself. Another thing related to that is that on your turn, at the beginning of your turn, you get to draw a card. You can either draw a card from your deck. It's a random card. You don't know what you're going to get, although you have a good idea of what's in your deck. Or you can draw a squirrel card to your hand. That's what I actually have in play right here. This is a squirrel card. It's a very basic card. It does very little, but it's there essentially to be sacrificed to another card, so you can play another card. So I like that option that is always there. If you need to play something that costs 1 blood, one life essentially, then you can always grab a squirrel instead of drawing from your deck. But in doing so, you're not gaining a more powerful card from your deck. I mentioned at the end of your turn that everything attacks forward 1 space. I thought this was a nice touch. In most games, like, you're kind of deciding which creature do I want to attack with here this turn. You don't have a choice here. It's going to happen no matter what. Your creatures are going to attack. And the last thing that I'll add, this is maybe the closest that I'll get to a spoiler, but I won't spoil anything specific about it, is that you're seated at this table playing against this unknown opponent, this creepy unknown opponent. But during kind of the rogue-like part of the game where you're deciding what to do next. Are you going to play another match? Are you going to upgrade a card? Are you going to trash a card? All these different things that you can do with your deck, kind of like in Slay the Spire. You can actually get up from the table and walk around the room that you're in, which And there's stuff that you can do in the room. That's as far as I'll go there, but it's just really cool to feel like you were at a table, but you can also get up and kind of wander around for a little bit if you want, and do some other stuff and discover stuff that's in the room. So it's another game added to this game, and I think the theme of this game is hidden games within games that you don't even realize are there, based on some of the spoiler stuff that I've read. So really, really cool game, even just on a base level of a solid, really fun deck building game with that roguelike sense from Slay the Spire. I highly recommend the game, highly recommend checking it out. And if you don't have hours and hours to play it, but you want to experience all the other stuff, there are some videos that go into the spoilers to show all the different things that happen in this game that are pretty cool. So yeah, Inscryption. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to say this, the comments here is a spoiler-safe place. So feel free to share your spoilers of the game if you want to share something awesome that happened in the game. Feel free to hide it behind a spoiler shield if you'd like. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on any element of Inscryption. I really had a good time with the hour or so that I played this game. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks.